There are moments in life when everything seems still, when your prayers feel like whispers lost in the wind, when your heart wonders, is God really working for me? And it is in those very moments, those quiet, uncertain places, where heaven is moving the most. You may not see it yet, you may not feel it yet, but God is moving powerfully for you right now in ways far greater than what your natural eyes can interpret. Because you must understand something. God does his greatest work behind the scenes. While you're waiting, he's arranging. While you're praying, he's orchestrating. While you're hoping, he's opening doors you didn't even know existed. The silence you feel is not the absence of God. It is the sound of God working in secret places. It is the echo of a miracle being shaped. It is the noise of divine alignment, even though to you it looks like stillness. Sometimes God hides his hand so you can learn to trust his heart. Sometimes he delays the revelation so he can strengthen your faith. Sometimes he allows pressure so that greater glory can be revealed. You see, the delay is not denial, it is development, it is preparation. It is God positioning you for something you are not fully ready to hold just yet. He is not ignoring you. He is constructing something bigger than your imagination could plan. Think of how seeds grow. They break in the dark before they break through the ground. They're buried before they rise. They are unseen before they become unstoppable. And the same God who designed that process is working the same pattern in your life. He has buried you not to destroy you, but to grow you. He has placed you out of sight, not to forget you, but to form you. God has you planted, not abandoned. And maybe today you are looking at your situation thinking, there's no progress, nothing is changing, everything feels stuck. But hear this, God is moving things you cannot see. He's shifting people. He's aligning resources. He's changing hearts. He's clearing obstacles. He's writing answers. He's pushing back darkness. He's arranging solutions that will appear suddenly, all at once, as if they came out of nowhere. But they didn't come out of nowhere. They came out of God's perfect timing. There is a powerful truth you must hold on to. God works in layers. He finishes one level before he reveals it to you. He completes the hidden part before he shows the manifested part. Just like a building foundation is finished underground before anything is visible above ground, God's work in you is progressing even when your situation looks unchanged. You may feel like nothing is happening, but heaven is busy for you. When you pray, something moves. When you speak faith, something shifts. When you worship, something breaks. When you stand strong, something opens. Every act of faith on earth activates a response from heaven. God does not let a single cry go unnoticed, a single tear go uncollected, or a single prayer go unanswered. The answer may not look like what you expected, but it will always arrive at the moment you need it the most. And hear this clearly. God is not only moving for your needs, he is moving for your future. He is preparing opportunities you haven't even prayed for yet. He is aligning blessings you haven't even imagined yet. He is removing dangers you never knew were coming. He is protecting you from traps you didn't see. His movement is not limited to what you can understand. You think God is just solving a problem? No, he's building a testimony. You think God is just opening a door. No, he's preparing a path. You think God is just helping you survive. No, he's positioning you to rise. God moves differently than humans. Humans rush. Humans panic. Humans depend on what they see. But God operates from eternity. He already knows the ending before your beginning. He sees the victory while you're still standing in the valley. He sees the breakthrough while you're still facing the battle. He sees the miracle while you're still dealing with the mess. And today I want you to walk with a new confidence. not in yourself, but in the God who is actively fighting for you, the God who never sleeps, never stops, never withdraws his hand from your life, the God who goes before you, stands beside you, and covers you from behind, the God who works all things, not some things, not a few things, but all things together for your good. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, stir your faith. Something is moving in your favor. Something is shifting for your family. Something is breaking for your future. Something is aligning for your purpose. God is not done with you. He is just getting started. God's movement is already in motion, and soon what has been invisible will become undeniable. What has been delayed will be delivered. What has been hidden will be revealed. And when it happens, you will look back and say, God was moving powerfully for me the whole time. There are moments in life when you look around and nothing seems to be shifting. The circumstances remain the same. The pressure feels unchanged. The prayers seem unanswered. And your heart begins to whisper, maybe God isn't moving at all. But the truth is that God does his greatest work in the places you cannot see. When the natural world looks still, heaven is busy. When life feels silent, his hand is active. When your eyes see no progress, your spirit must remember that God specializes in working behind the scenes, arranging what you will only understand later. Think of how the sun rises. Long before the first light touches the horizon, long before any color fills the sky, the sun is already on its way. The earth is shifting, the atmosphere is changing, but to the natural eye, nothing seems different until suddenly the sky opens and the light breaks through. That is how God moves in your life. Before you see anything, he is already setting the miracle into motion. Before you feel anything, he is aligning the pieces. Before anything becomes visible, he is shaping the breakthrough. Most of God's work begins in the invisible realm. The invisible is the birthplace of the visible. That means what you cannot see is more important than what you can see, because what is unseen is what gives life and direction to what eventually appears. When God moves, he begins at the root, not the fruit. He starts in the foundation, not the decoration. That is why you don't always recognize his movement immediately. A foundation is built underground. A seed grows in the soil. A baby forms in the womb. A process always begins in a hidden place. And so does your breakthrough. God is moving powerfully in ways your natural senses cannot detect, because his work is spiritual before it becomes physical. While you're waiting for visible results, God is dealing with the invisible causes. You see the issue, but God sees the pattern. You see the need, but God sees the supply. You see the battle, but God sees the victory. You see the delay, but God sees the development. You see silence, but God sees preparation. Sometimes God does not reveal his activity because if he showed you everything he was arranging, you would try to take control. You would step in too soon, try to help him, try to direct the outcome, or try to speed up the process. So he hides his movement until the right moment. He protects the miracle by keeping it out of sight. You may think he is late, but he is simply preserving the timing that will bless you the most. When God is working behind the scenes, he is touching hearts you don't know, preparing people you haven't met, opening doors you haven't reached, and creating opportunities you never thought possible. He is shifting circumstances 10 steps ahead of you, clearing paths you haven't walked yet, and fighting battles you don't even know exist. You only feel the surface of your life, but God is rearranging the depths. You only see the moment, but God sees the entire story. Sometimes God blocks something not because he is punishing you, but because he is positioning you. Sometimes he allows you to feel stuck so he can move something else into place. Sometimes he allows one door to stay shut so that another door will open at the exact second you need it. The supernatural timing of God requires patience, because what he is preparing often exceeds the size of your expectation. If you saw what he was putting together, you would understand the weight. Think about Joseph in the prison. It looked like nothing was happening, but while Joseph was locked away, God was working behind the scenes in Pharaoh's dreams, in the palace conversations, in the timing of the cupbearer remembering Joseph's gift. Joseph could not see any of it, yet every invisible detail was pushing him toward a visible destiny. And when the door opened, it opened suddenly. It opened in a way that made sense only in hindsight. That is what God is doing for you too. The palace opportunities are being arranged, even if you feel stuck in a prison season. Think of Israel walking around Jericho. Nothing happened for 6 days. Not a stone moved. Not a sound came from the wall. But God was moving. He was preparing the final moment of collapse, the exact second everything would shift. The people couldn't see it, but they were walking in obedience while God was working in the unseen. Some of the greatest miracles look silent until the last moment. Sometimes God lets the walls look strong until the final second, so that you know it was not your power, it was his. And this is why you must not judge your life by what you see. Your senses are limited. God's work is unlimited. You cannot measure divine activity with natural eyes. The surface may appear still, but the supernatural is in motion. God is placing conversations, connections, ideas, and opportunities in alignment with his plan for you. What seems random is calculated. What seems delayed is scheduled. What seems hidden is under construction. If the unseen realm was suddenly revealed to you, you would fall to your knees in awe at how carefully, how precisely, and how lovingly God has been working for you all along. There are seasons when you ask, why is this taking so long? Why hasn't it happened yet? Why does it feel like everything is moving forward for others while I'm standing still? In those moments, it is easy to assume God has forgotten you, or that your prayers have been shelved somewhere in heaven's waiting room. But delays with God are never wasted, accidental, or empty. Every delay has fingerprints of divine intelligence. Every waiting season is a spiritual classroom. Every seeming pause is preparation for something greater than you can currently comprehend. God is not a God of randomness. He is a God of order, alignment, purpose, and precision. When he delays something, it is never because he is unsure, unprepared, or hesitant. He delays because you are being prepared for what he is about to release. You are being shaped, strengthened, refined, and elevated internally so you can handle the weight of the blessing externally. A promotion given too early becomes a burden. A blessing received without maturity becomes a trap. A breakthrough given without spiritual grounding becomes unstable. So God prepares you deeply before he elevates you publicly. Sometimes God delays things because he is protecting you from harm you cannot see. What you call slow, God calls shielding. What you see as being stuck, God sees as being preserved. There are situations that looked right, felt right, sounded right, and seemed perfect to you, but if God allowed them, they would have crushed you emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. So he blocked them to bless you later. He closed the door not to deny you, but to redirect you. He let time stretch so that danger could pass. You don't always know what he rescues you from, but one day, when the full story unfolds, you will understand why he made you wait. Delays are also necessary because God is preparing the environment around you. Blessings require alignment. The right people must be in place. The right opportunities must be ready. The right doors must be open. Sometimes God is not waiting on you. You are waiting on others to reach their appointed place, so your paths can intersect at the perfect moment. Think of how many small details must fall into place for a single major breakthrough to manifest. God ties 1,000 threads together before he reveals the finished design. If you receive the blessing too early, the environment wouldn't support it. So he waits until every layer is ready. Another reason God delays is to stretch your faith. Faith muscles must be exercised or they remain weak. Waiting seasons aren't punishment. They are training grounds. Without something to trust God for, your faith remains shallow. But when you wait, when you press, when you pray, when you keep believing even in silence, something inside you grows. Your trust deepens. Your endurance strengthens. Your dependence shifts from your understanding to God's wisdom. Waiting teaches you that God's timing is superior to your anxiety. It stretches your spiritual capacity to hold greater blessings. Often, delays are God's way of stripping away things that cannot accompany you into your next level. Old mindsets, old fears, old habits, old connections. Some of these must be removed so you can step into what God has prepared. You cannot carry doubt into destiny. You cannot carry insecurity into elevation. You cannot carry bitterness into breakthrough. You cannot carry old patterns into a new season. So God removes, reshapes, and rebuilds you during the delay so you rise into the blessing with a purified heart and stronger identity. There are also moments when God delays because the blessing itself is being fortified. Just as fruit needs time to ripen, divine promises need time to mature. God will not give you something that is half-formed or fragile. He is not a God who delivers unfinished miracles. If it takes time, it's because the blessing is being perfected. The connections are being strengthened. The opportunity is being polished. The financial provision is being multiplied. The path is being widened. The breakthrough is being built brick by brick. God does not do shallow work. Everything he prepares is worth the wait. Sometimes God delays because he wants your testimony to become bigger than your prayer. What he is building in you during the delay is meant to glorify him later. Breakthroughs that come quickly are appreciated, but breakthroughs that come after waiting, praying, crying, and persevering become milestones. Stories that encourage others, fuel your faith, and display God's power in a way you never forget. God isn't just blessing you, he is building a testimony through you. And yet, the waiting season is often the most misunderstood, because humans measure time with emotion. God measures it with purpose. You say, "It's been too long." God says, "It's right on schedule." You say, "Nothing is happening." God says, "Everything is happening, just not where you can see it." You say, "I'm losing time." God says, "I'm preparing you for the right time." There is no wasted wait with God, no pointless delay, no meaningless silence. Everything has purpose. Everything is preparation. And if you listen closely during the delay, you will notice that God is not distant. He is drawing you deeper. He is pulling you into prayer. He is teaching you endurance. He is shaping your character. He is refining your desires. He is strengthening your spirit. He is molding you into someone who can not only receive the blessing but sustain it, multiply it, and honor him with it. There comes a point in every believer's journey when you must learn to trust God, not because you understand what he's doing, but because you know who he is. God's movement is not always loud, dramatic, or obvious. Sometimes it is gentle, quiet, and hidden beneath the surface. Yet even when the process feels unclear, uncertain, or confusing, his movement guarantees victory. He is the only one who can take what was meant to break you and turn it into the very thing that blesses you. His hand ensures that even the parts of life that seem out of control remain under divine control. You must remember that God operates with a perspective far beyond anything the human mind can comprehend. He sees the end before you begin. He knows the destination before you take your first step. He understands every detail, every twist, every delay, every detour, and every challenge long before you encounter them. What looks like chaos to you is a carefully woven strategy to him. What feels like confusion to you is a completed map in his hands. The journey may not make sense now, but the destination will reveal the meaning of every step. Many times, the process God uses looks the opposite of progress. Instead of advancement, you feel resistance. Instead of clarity, you face uncertainty. Instead of open doors, you see closed ones. But the resistance is strengthening you, the uncertainty is stretching you, and the closed doors are redirecting you toward the right ones. God is never trying to harm you. He is positioning you. Every step of confusion is part of divine calibration. God is aligning you with his perfect plan, shaping your path so that when the victory arrives, you will know it was not your strategy, your strength, or your timing. It was his movement all along. The truth is, God often leads his children through places that don't look like victory on the outside. Think of the Israelites trapped at the Red Sea. The situation looked hopeless. Water in front, an army behind, mountains on the sides. No escape, no plan, no possibility. Yet God was moving powerfully in a way they couldn't see. What looked like a trap was actually a setup for a miracle. What looked like the end was the beginning of their deliverance. The same God who parted seas back then is the God who is working in your life now. Your situation may look impossible, but impossible is where God likes to show his glory. Sometimes God lets you walk into places that look dangerous or uncertain because that is where his power is revealed. If everything was easy, you wouldn't need faith. If everything was clear, you wouldn't need trust. If everything was instant, you wouldn't learn endurance. Faith grows best in pressure. Trust grows deepest in darkness. Strength is built when God asks you to walk, even when the way is unclear. When you trust him in confusion, you are declaring that his character is more reliable than your understanding. And that is exactly what guarantees your victory. Not the clarity of the journey, but the one who guides it. You don't win because you see every step. You win because God walks every step with you. You don't triumph because you understand everything. You triumph because God orchestrates everything. You don't overcome because you are strong. You overcome because his strength is made perfect in your weakness. When God is moving, even your tears serve a purpose. Even your waiting has meaning. Even your battles carry promise. Divine guidance is not always comfortable, but it is always perfect. God may guide you through dry places, through valleys, through storms, or through seasons of silence, but he never leaves you without direction. His movement is steady even when your pace feels slow. His hand is strong even when your heart feels fragile. His plan is unfolding even when your life feels paused. And when the time is right, everything he has been preparing will appear suddenly and beautifully. God's movement often leads to sudden moments, sudden healing, sudden opportunity, sudden favor, sudden breakthrough, moments that arrive unexpectedly but perfectly. When you allow God to guide you, you begin to walk with peace even before you see the outcome. You begin to rest even while the situation is unresolved. You begin to trust even without explanations. This is when spiritual maturity deepens, when you can say, I may not understand everything, but I know that God's movement is leading me somewhere greater. That kind of faith is powerful. It pulls heaven into your situation. It opens the door for God to reveal what he has been preparing all along. God does not promise an easy path, but he guarantees a victorious destination. The path may twist and turn, but victory is secure. The road may not make sense, but the result is assured. When God moves, no weapon formed against you can succeed. No plan of the enemy can stand. No obstacle can stop his purpose. His movement carries authority. His movement carries protection. His movement carries power. And as long as he is guiding you, you are walking towards something that will bless you, elevate you, and transform you more than you expected. So even when you don't understand the process, keep trusting the one who directs it. Even when you can't see the way, keep walking with the one who goes before you. Even when the journey feels difficult, keep believing in the one who never fails, because God's movement, though unseen, though quiet, though mysterious, is leading you toward a victory that will one day make perfect sense. When you look back at your life, you will realize that every moment, every delay, every hardship, every breakthrough, every unexpected turn was all part of God's bigger plan for you. Nothing was wasted, nothing was accidental, nothing happened outside his wisdom or his intention. The journey may have felt heavy, the nights may have seemed long, and the questions may have been many, but God was writing a story greater than anything you could have imagined. He was shaping you when you felt stretched. He was strengthening you when you felt weak. He was preparing you when you felt forgotten. And now, as faith rises in your spirit, you can see that what looked like the end was actually the beginning of his purpose unfolding in your life. God does not call you to survive. He calls you to become. He calls you to walk in power, in clarity, in courage, and in destiny. So stand firm in this truth. God's plan is bigger than your fear, stronger than your opposition, and more beautiful than your expectations. What you lost is not the end. What you prayed for is not forgotten. What you are walking through is not in vain. He is the God who completes what he starts, the God who turns battles into blessings, and the God who transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary testimonies. As you move forward, walk with confidence, walk with faith, walk with the assurance that heaven is guiding you. Lift your head, strengthen your heart, and open your spirit, because the God who has been speaking to you, shaping you, and leading you is now bringing you into a season where his plan will unfold clearly and powerfully. The doors you couldn't open, he will open. The mountains you couldn't move, he will move. The victories you couldn't win, he will secure. This is not just a message. It is a declaration over your life. God has a bigger plan for you, and the best chapters are still ahead.